Today I will be talking about one of my favorite creatures, mystical or scary, the Wendigo or Windego. I heard someone pronounce it Windego, but I'm pretty sure it's Wendigo. I'm gonna be pronouncing it Wendigo. Just like my last video, if you hear those puppies crying, oh, why did I do that? Okay, if you hear them crying, just ignore them, please. Wendigo initially is most commonly known for the Algonquin mythology, where the Algonquin tribe believed that it was an evil spirit hailing from the northern part of the Atlantic coast. Wendigos are associated with greed, murder, and cannibalism is seen as a cannibalistic giant. It was a person, but it's been transformed into a monster by the consumption of human flesh. This creature is most commonly known in native tribes. Various native tribes describe it slightly different and refer to it by different names. Some of these names is Wendigo, Witego, Wittikiko, and Wetego. If I pronounce any of those wrong, I am very sorry. I am not Native American. Even though they have different names, they basically mean the same thing. Wendigos are generally rumored to be gigantic. Some people refer them as spirits. Some tribes see them as spirits that possess a body, possess someone, and that's what makes them go do these horrible things. And other people describe them as the person itself turning into this horrible creature. But they are generally rumored to be gigantic, like over 15 feet tall, super skinny, like skeleton and lanky, and they usually have glowing eyes. They have long yellow fangs, very long like claws, and long tongues. Some people describe them as having like yellowy skin, like papery, almost translucent, but yellowish, like old paper, I guess. And others describe it as being covered with matted hair. I did see one source say that it was their tribe described it as being covered in ice. This Wendigo legend is most prevalent in northern United States and in Canada, and they are mostly known to roam around wooded areas and forests, usually in colder environments where food is scarce and the survival is more difficult. For the tribes that see Wendigo as something you become, not you're possessed as, it's most commonly known that you would become a Wendigo by cannibalism, eating another human being. And even if this is a necessity, even if you need to do this to survive, it's still frowned upon. So when people do it, it still will change you into this monster. When you have to resort to eating someone, it's said that there's these evil spirits that basically overcome you and have you eat these people. Fear of becoming this creature can be so strong that some people resort to killing themselves rather than cannibalism because they do not want to become a Wendigo. Wendigo is known to have certain abilities or powers. The most common one is stealth, so it's very hard to see them and catch them or whatever. Usually if you see them, it's the last thing you're going to see. They're a near perfect hunter, and as I mentioned, they live in more cooler environments, and they are really good and really focused on protecting their territory, and they are usually found in wooded areas, and they live in hills, caves, trees, bushes. There are some sources that claim that they can control the weather through uses of dark magic, but I only saw one source that said that. So in the O Ojibwe Native American folklore. I know I butchered that name, so I will have the name here because I don't know how to say that. But Windego is pronounced Windego or Windigo. I'm not sure. In this folklore, it's described more werewolf-like than human-like, and they believe that the creature still exists in the woods of northern Minnesota. Some of the powers and abilities Wendigos have are, as I mentioned before, superhuman speed. They also have superhuman strength. They're also known to be able to imitate human voices very well. If you listen or read up on Wendigo sightings or encounters, a lot of the times the people are drawn out of their homes because they hear someone yelling for help or someone they know, like a friend or family member, supposedly saying, "Hey, come over here," known to imitate voices really well. As I mentioned, they're also very stealthy, and their claws are obviously very useful, as claws usually are, and they're also known to be immortal. So the weaknesses of Wendigo, if you've seen the show Supernatural, this is how they got him, got the Wendigo. They also, in the lore and everything, one of his weaknesses is fire. So to be able to kill it, you have to burn it to death. You can also keep it at bay with protective circles of Anasazi symbols. Anasazi symbols. Again, I will have the name below. And then it's also said that you can injure them with silver, so silver tip bow and arrows. So now that we have the mythology aspect, now we're going into the more medical aspect. So Wendigo is actually a mental illness that some of the First Nations suffer from. It's usually culturally bound, so that means most people outside of native cultures don't have this. So it's usually the person suffering from this illness believes that they could be possessed by an evil spirit that would turn them into homicidal cannibals. Isn't that fun? Condition is known as Wendigo psychosis, and usually this occurs even if the person has reasonable access to food and sources. They would still be overcome with the need to consume human flesh. Delicious. There has been cases of these, such as a man named Swift Runner. He was a Cree man. He is famously known as slaughtering his entire family in 1878, when he then proceeded to eat them. And he did this even though he was only 25 miles from the Hudson Bay Company's supply post. So he didn't need to eat his family to survive. He just decided it was gonna happen. In 1907, a OG Cree man, again I will have the tribe name below, I apologize, I'm probably butchering all of these names. His name was Jack Fiddler, and he and his brother were arrested for killing over 14 people who he claimed were Wendigos or about to become them. So these two went around killing people, saying that those people they killed were about to become Wendigos. That's all I have on them. As I mentioned, this is more mythology, lore. There are cases, real life cases, but those are more on a mental aspect. I believe it could be something similar to mad cow disease, but more in a cultural aspect. Like, there's not something, I was gonna say it's not something physically wrong with your brain, but I think the mental illness is usually something physically wrong with your brain. So, I'm assuming it's something similar to that, where you get kind of like a break in reality or something and think you need to do this to survive when you don't. Although there are many many natives that still believe that this creature exists fully, and that they're in the woods in usually more colder environments. So that's all I have on this creature, who I don't know why, but they are one of my favorite supernatural creatures ever, and I don't know why, but it's a thing. I hope you liked this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe for more. And if you have any other videos you want me to see, comment them below. I will have all my social medias down in the description. Suggest, if you like this kind of stuff, to watch the show Supernatural, because I love this kind of stuff. And the show Supernatural, at least the first season especially, is all about lore and mythology, and it's just amazing. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day.